Hello, this is Nigoji here, and today we'll be reacting to the Kenshin Chaos breakdown. All three parts. Let's watch it, shall we? I'll leave a link to this playlist in the link in the description down below, so you can go check it out. But let's watch it, shall we? Starting with...
Hello, true
Oops, forgot to share the screen.
believers. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is me,
Here we go.
NewsGamer04, and today we're going to be discussing a different kind of topic today. Not exactly a particular show, but instead this video will be serving as more of a kind of a character synopsis, if you will. And now, normally, Now here's the thing, I have not really done this kind of video before, at least like a full-on character synopsis. The closest thing I could probably say that's like a synopsis kind of format video where it's like my commentary videos, or at least any type of commentary videos, but it's like either going over a movie or characters. The closest thing I have to anything like that is my Saturday morning Nostalgia Zone video series, which I realized I really need to do more for this. And also the Shin Godzilla video that I did, where it focused on both how the movie holds up and also different parts about it, including a small study of the character himself and, Shin Godzilla, and how he's presented within his movie. But in this case, it's going to be a fan-made character within the Godzilla community, instead of just a normal kaiju from that series or a canon character from the series that's been long forgotten, or at least long forgotten by Toho, but still remembered by fans. In this case, it's a fan-made character that I think might have inspired everybody. Now, before we go into that, I would like you to please welcome my good friend, Godzilla Reader.
Hey, your boy Reader Goji is here. No, not that Reader Goji. There you go. Okay, well, aside from the terrible joke, hello everybody. I'm the Godzilla Reader, and today, back with my good friend Neo's Gamer, we're going to take a look at a particular fan-made kaiju. And that fan-made kaiju is none other than Kurajira. Now, I don't think I've seen anyone make a video talking about Kurajira and his history, since so far I've only seen some reaction videos where people basically react some of the videos where Kurajira makes appearance in. So yeah, I guess this makes us the first people to make a video talking about Kurajira and his history, from appearing in a fan film to then having his own little series, as well as his design changing. So yeah, how about we get started, shall we?
Yeah, let's
Roll
get...
the intro.
Oh, that's what you think. Alright, bro. Wrote this shit 2 days off chemo. Lap got fat, new bread, no keto. Bitch, I was made for the game like Demo. Ben had lines from the jump like a free throw. You can say I came wrapped up like a pre-roll. Green in my hands like Shigo, Finito. Doom, you can meet yo. Stirred like the Migos. Slide like I'm playing on an iced up court. Yeah, shouts tied wild to keep the pipes up north. I don't take L's, keep it light 1-4. Put the numbers on my head, get your life cut short. See, another life it could be serving up a lot of the syrup. Really offer the procurement of the product. Meet a baddie in the
Now, before we start diving into the topics, let's answer this very simple question.
Who is
Kurajira?
Kurajira?
Kurajira is an original but fan-made kaiju that was created by Chris Keepers and Nicole Monard. He made his first appearance in the last installment of the Godzilla Kenshin trilogy, that being Godzilla Wrath of the Hybrid, where he was essentially the main antagonist of the movie. He would then reappear in his own series, but with a new design and as his own character. That series is called Kenshin Chaos, where he was essentially the main monster and will appear in every single episode. Alrighty then, now that we got that out of the
Yeah.
way, let's begin this with the story of Kurajira in Godzilla Wrath of the Hybrid. So, throughout the entire movie, we do not see Kurajira yet. In fact, what the movie is doing is actually building up Kurajira by showing you what the aliens are doing. And what they are doing is collecting the DNA of Godzilla so that they can use it with those of Space Godzilla in order to create
And
Kurajira.
don't forget some of Steve
Another thing
Martin's
about
DNA.
Kurajira in this
Not
movie
that many
is
people know
that
that.
we do not know his name. I don't even think his name is even mentioned in the movie. Or maybe it is, I don't know. But the point is, we do not know the name of Kurajira. All we know is that it's an hybrid between Godzilla and Space Godzilla. So, apart from being building up, the movie gives you the idea of what Kurajira could literally look like and how much of a danger he could pose to our protagonist. And then, once you reach the battle between Godzilla alongside Mechagodzilla fighting Orga, the aliens unleash him in the city, leaving a huge smoke. Orga walks towards that smoke, wondering what could be hidden in that smoke, until he gets distracted by Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. And once he's distracted, something pulls him right in the smoke and kills him, only leaving his head. And then we see him in all his glory. Kurajira.
And once Kudajira makes his grand entrance into this movie, he is here to show that he is definitely not playing around. Godzilla first rushed at him, only for Kudajira to bring him to the ground. And then afterwards, Mechagodzilla tried to attack as well, only for Kudajira to teleport behind him, or at least go right behind him with super speed, and then impales him with a crystal before grabbing him by his face and beating him around on the ground like it's the Hulk beating the freak out of Loki in the Avengers. Then right afterwards, summons a bunch of crystals, fires them at Godzilla, and then impales him with a few of them when Godzilla was trying to fight back. And then later, brings Godzilla back down to the ground, and once he sees that Kiryu was struggling but still trying to get back up, he stomps on him to prevent him from getting up at all. Which leads to the main characters of this movie, the main human characters anyway, to self-destruct Mechagodzilla in order to use this as a way to defeat Kudajira, or at least destroy him. However, that plan didn't work. Because, as you can see, Kudajira basically ate the explosion like it was nothing. As in, he survived it, and not even a scratch is on him. And then,
Interesting.
once we see that Godzilla gets back up to try to fight him again, he fires his atomic breath right at Kudajira, only for Kudajira to surround his fist with electricity to attack Godzilla, to send an electric attack at Godzilla, and then afterwards fires his own iteration of the atomic breath, which blows Godzilla sky high. And once Godzilla is brought back down to the ground, he fires his own version of the atomic breath back at Godzilla on the ground to make sure he doesn't get back up and blows him up again. And soon afterwards, what we would see transpire is that the spirits, or what seems to be the spirits, Anguirus, Mothra,
Hmm.
and then Rodan,
Interesting.
all flew over to Godzilla and infused themselves into his soul in order to help him get back up to regain his strength to fight off against
Feels
Kudajira
about right.
and finish him off once and for
I have
all.
no problems with Rainbow Temper.
And in which he does. He actually becomes a little bit more powerful. He becomes more powerful enough to be more of a match to Kudajira and actually weakens him. He weakens Kudajira, and then right after, once he gets a hold of Kudajira, he blows Kudajira sky high right into space, and then obliterates him along with the alien ship, bringing Kudajira to an end once and for all, or so we thought. Now, for this, for the movie, Kudajira does not appear for that long in this movie, but for what time we did have with him in this movie, he definitely made a really big and great impact for us and many other fans of Godzilla.
So, regarding his origin, well, like I said before, Kurajira is an hybrid between Godzilla and Space Godzilla. However, there is actually more to his origin. According to Chris and Nico, when Kurajira grabbed the Orga and killed him, he actually took some of his DNA, which does actually explain why Kurajira has big and long arms and why he looks the way he is. Now, the reason that they did that was because they didn't want Kurajira to feel like another Space Godzilla. Which, if I'm being honest, it kind of failed. I mean, just from the design and the abilities, Kurajira still feels like a Space Godzilla. Or I guess I should say, a much more powerful clone of Godzilla. And I guess him killing Orga and having huge arms are meant to give you the idea that he has some Orga in him. But at the same time, the movie really doesn't show you that or even explains it. I mean, one question that I have about Kurajira is how is Kurajira even able to absorb DNA from other kaijus when he's literally an hybrid between Godzilla and Space Godzilla? I mean, heck, Kurajira apparently already had this ability before killing Orga, which is a bit confusing because Orga does have the ability to absorb DNA from other kaijus, but Kurajira apparently already had that when he's just an hybrid before even gaining the DNA of Orga. Like, I just don't get it. Maybe it's just me, but it's not that much of a huge problem. Just a small nitpick that I have with the character. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one, Reader. To me, it does seem kind of strange that Kudajira somehow already has this like DNA, like the ability to basically take other kaiju's DNA and use it for himself and adapt to it. To me, it's kind of strange that he already has that, and he didn't even encounter Orga yet. Like, the only time he encounters Orga is when Orga was distracted when he was going over to the smoke, and then Kudajiro pulling him into the smoke and killing him. But we don't really see. There's another thing. We don't even really see what Kudajiro looks like before he even killed Orga. And there could be another thing that perhaps maybe the aliens might have already had some sort of like maybe like a small sample of Orga's DNA that they might have mixed in with the samples of Godzilla and Space Godzilla that they had in order to create Kudajira. This probably might not be what the case is. It might not be. I could be completely wrong for all we know about this, but it kind of feels like that might be what it is. And if it isn't, then maybe the aliens might have had a special creature on their own planet that might have had the same type of ability that Orga has, and it just might be somewhat of a coincidence that Kudajira just so happens to have it. They might have just had it from like a alien creature's DNA, like an alien monster's DNA, and had it mixed in with Space Godzilla and Godzilla's. I'm not so sure about that, but that's probably what it might be. But again, granted, we can't really we can't completely like 100% say that that's a fact because we don't actually see that happen in the movie, and they don't really give us too many hints of how exactly Kudajira is even able to use this ability and how he even has it right before he even kills Orga. And they don't really tell us like if he got the ability from Orga by like let's say after he killed Orga and decapitated him, that he somehow gained Orga's abilities, like he might have gained some of his essence and ended up getting his energy, like his energy and DNA absorption ability to use for himself. Like it's almost like just like how the spirits of all the other kaiju were fusing into Godzilla in order to help him fight against Kudajira and defeat him later in the movie. It could be something like
Yeah,
that,
it
but
could be something like
I'm
that.
not really sure. But that's just my guess on it. But other than that, to me, it's not really that big of a problem. Like, it's not a glaring problem. It's just kind of a small thing that's just not really that well addressed or explained. But it's fine.
Now, let's talk about the design of Kurajira and. Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. I don't like the design. It suffers from really bad texturing and really bad proportioning, which unfortunately kinda ruins the character. In fact, when looking at it, it's a bit difficult to take him seriously because of how goofy he looks. However, I don't think Kurajira's design is that horrible. In fact, I think this design is pretty cool for a fan-made kaiju. And besides, Kurajira was still executed pretty well in the movie. And like I said, the design just ruins the character, not the movie. Although, there is one part of his design that I believe myself and Nios are going to agree that it's a bit bothering, and that's the mouth on his chest.
The mouth on Kudajira's chest, in terms of what it can do or what it is there for, is probably one of the bigger mysteries surrounding the character. Because you could easily say that it is meant to be like just a design choice, and for all we know, maybe that is what it's all for. But considering that's a part of his design, and considering everything that Kudajira was able to do during Wrath of the Hybrid, you would think you would see something happen with that, but we don't really see anything with it. And the thing is that the mouth on his chest is not just exclusive to the Wrath of the Hybrid variant of Kudajira, but it carries over into his newer counterpart, which we'll get into that when we get into the other topics of the video later after this one. But I'm gonna have to talk a little bit about this one for the like surrounding about the mouth on his chest for both versions, because for the new Kudajira, the mouth on his chest, and this doesn't happen in any episode, but it only happens in like one screenshot for his design, and it shows that the mouth is open and a tongue seems to be appearing out of it, a tongue that kind of looks like Venom's. My guess for what it probably could do is probably that it might work as somewhat of a grapple in some way. Like he might be able to spit it out and, or at least like the mouth on his chest would spit it out and tie it around one of his enemies to pull them closer to him so that he could attack them while they're in front of him. I don't know for sure if that's actually what it's for or if it's meant to be something else because I don't think anyone at Kenshin Studios has ever specified what exactly the mouth on his chest is for, and we definitely don't know it for the original Kutajira either, because we don't ever see him use it. And for the new one, the only thing we really have to work off of is just the fact that it opens up in a
Wow.
screenshot of the
Just
character when he
wow.
was being redesigned. But in terms of like seeing him use it on both iterations, neither iteration has even used it at all yet. So we really it there really isn't too much to say for what it can do other than just that it's kind of weird that it's there and we don't ever see anything happen with it unless it's meant to be just for design purposes. And if it is, then that's good, but it would be nice to see what it actually can do.
As for his personality, well, I can say that the movie did a pretty good job at showing you that Kurojira is someone that you certainly do not want to mess with, especially after he survived the explosion of Mechagodzilla.
Is
I
that the God of
mean,
War theme I'm
just
hearing?
look at what Kurojira does after surviving the explosion of Mechagodzilla. That scene clearly shows a lot
Yeah,
of
that is a God of War
personality,
theme. What the hell?
and that
I
Kurojira was
never realized that.
definitely not
That's a God of War
impressed
theme.
by the attempts of Mechagodzilla.
This scene gives off the implication that
Holy
Kutajira
shit,
is
that's a
the
God of
kind
War
of
theme.
character
I
who
did not
seeks
realize they were
for
using
a
the God of
worthy
War theme.
opponent in a fight. And in this case, with how his reaction was after Mechagodzilla had blown up, and Kutajira somehow managed to survive the attack without a single scratch on him, and just basically just wiped off his shoulder like it was nothing. That basically tells us that he didn't see Mechagodzilla as much of a worthy opponent. At least from how I can see it here, he didn't see him as much of a worthy opponent, and he didn't seem to see Godzilla as much of one either. Well, I'll say this: it does look like that Godzilla did give him a worthy fight, or at least he did give him a run for his money. But of course, as we also do see here, Kutajira was a little bit too much for Godzilla to handle, at least at first without the aid of the spirits of the other monsters. Because before then, Kutajira does show he's basically I guess one way to put this is that he's basically the Yujiro Hanma of Godzilla fan monsters. At least that's one way I can put it because he's he's the type of guy or monster I should say. In this case, he's the type of monster that wants all of the action. He wants all of the action and he wants a worthy opponent to face. And with Mechagodzilla, he considered him weak. And considering the number that he did on Orga a moment ago, he probably might have considered him unworthy as well, considering how fast it was that it took him to take him down, which was only in a matter of seconds. But from all the scenes that Kutajiro appears in, which there is not a lot, but from how he reacted after Mechagodzilla self-destructed, and from during his fight against Godzilla for the rest of the movie, he did show he did show that he's definitely not one. He's one character that you definitely don't want to mess with. Kuajira is a menace. It the way I'm trying to say this is that he's a menace. He's kind of a brute, but he's kind of a brute, but he's smart in his own way, and he doesn't take no for an answer, and will take down anyone who stands in his way. And a lot of the opponents Kutajira has faced during his history, both his original counterpart in Wrath of the Hybrid And then his later iteration, most of the adversaries he's faced, he seemed like he had taken out without breaking a sweat, except for one. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that soon. But next thing I think we should talk about is Kudajira's ability set.
The power of the ultimate kaiju.
Now, for Kudajira's abilities, his abilities can range from, but are not limited to, enhanced strength, super speed, or at least enhanced speed, considering that he uses this against Mechagodzilla, which gave him the upper hand to attack him, which also allowed Kujira to present that he's able to make crystals rise up from the ground and impale his enemies, which is also an ability that Space Godzilla has. And Kudajira is also able to create crystallized projectiles to fire at his enemies, which he uses to stab Godzilla before Godzilla collapsed to the ground after being impaled by so many crystals. And another ability that he has, although this one isn't properly explained, is that he's able to absorb other kaiju's DNA, which is presented after he kills Orga.
Next, you have durability. And let's just say that Kurojira really is one difficult monster to destroy. I mean, from surviving the atomic breath of Godzilla, surviving Mechagodzilla exploding on him, and even surviving Godzilla using the red spiral beam. Like, oh my god, that attack is one of Godzilla's most powerful attacks, and yet he survived it. Jesus! Another attack that he uses is the lightning beam that he fires from his hands. This attack is strong enough to electrocute and even paralyze Godzilla. And lastly, his most powerful attack, the Mega Beam. This is a huge energy beam that he fires right from his mouth. And this attack completely destroyed Godzilla. Like, literally killed him and even decapitated him. This is by far the most powerful attack that Kurajira had.
Now, in my honest opinion, I think Kudajira was executed very well in this movie. For me, he was a great
Yeah, he
addition
was
to the
executed
movie
well.
and definitely one of the best things about the movie, despite the fact that his screen time was very little, at least like only about 8 to 10 minutes.
I think it was like 10
I
minutes.
just wish that we had a little bit more of him in the movie, but despite that, he was a really great part to the movie, and I really enjoyed him. What are your thoughts on him, reader?
Apart from the design that could be very distracting to the eye, Kurajira was freaking awesome. The way he was executed in the movie was done absolutely perfect. And I can definitely say that Kurajira is by far one of the best fan-made kaijus that I've seen so far. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I can blame them for the design. It must have been very difficult to create him. But either way, the design is not what's important, it's the execution. And Kurajira was executed pretty well. Kurajira definitely is the highlight of the movie.
I 100% agree with you, pal. And speaking of his design, this wouldn't be the last time we would see Kudajira, as about a few years later after the movie, Kudajira would make his great comeback with a brand new design.
That's right. Kurajira was back with a new improved design. And this time, he will return in his own little series called Kenshin Chaos. So, starting with the first episode of Kenshin Chaos, episode 1, Old Ajira versus New Ajira. Now, this episode is basically a battle between the old Kurajira and the new Kurajira. Now, perhaps I'm not the only one who thinks this, but before watching this video, we perhaps all thought that this battle was going to be very match, since, of course, it's a battle between both the same characters just with a different design. However, after watching this video, wow, I was completely wrong about that. Throughout this entire battle, the old Kurajira gets his tail kicked by the new Kurajira, and the old Kurajira barely did a scratch on the new Kurajira.
The new Kurajira completely mopped the floor with the old one. In fact, he decimated it. He showed no mercy to the original. The original tried all he could to stop the new one. But the new Kurajira, if he could talk, he would say, listen, we may both be Kurajira, but homie, we are not the same. And he tells him that by firing a laser at him and making him blow up and turn into nothing but a puddle of blood. Ouch. That is all that is left of him. Ouch. And then soon after Kurajira had defeated his original counterpart, he would have taken his leave, and this would have led into the next episode of Kenshin Chaos, which is where he will fight both Destroyer and the third iteration,
and which is now the second most popular video on Kenshin Studios.
And once he starts to step into the fight, things start to get crazy. Destroyer started swooping down and tried to attack him from above. However, Kurajira didn't really get hit. In fact, he caused a few explosions to try to hit him. And when Kiryu was trying to attack Kurajira, that didn't do too much either, because all the attacks that Kurajira had being sent his way from Kiryu, Kurajira walked through them like a boss, and not even a scratch was on him, which would have led to him soon after attacking Kiryu. And when Kiryu started flying around Kurajira to try to attack him that way by distracting him so that he wouldn't be able to catch up with him and he could get the upper hand, Kurajira grabs him by his neck. He stops him and grabs Kiryu by his neck and slams him on the ground. And just as he was about to finish off Kiryu, Kiryu would have fired a beam at Kurajira, and then this would have led into him being sliced in half and decapitated.
Here, it looks like Kurajira is dead. He is literally decapitated by Destroyer. However, he is just bluffing, because after being decapitated, he suddenly turns into smoke, and he goes right towards Destroyer, and then blows him up, and gets back to life. And after killing Destroyer, he proceeds to destroy Kiryu by decapitating him using his Thunder Hand. What a beast!
Poor
Just
Kiryu.
from seeing that, it's clear that this Kurajira is a total killing machine. The ultimate life form, and nothing can kill him. Not even the next monster in the next episode, being Biolante.
It's Biolante, goddammit.
Alright, now let's get into Kenshin Chaos Episode 3. The third episode of Kenshin Chaos opens up with Kurajira walking around in a forest. At the start, everything seems very peaceful. at least from how it looks when in comparison to how the first two episodes of the series started. However, it didn't stay peaceful for
Yeah,
long
I did not.
because
Violente.
as soon after, when Kudajiro had his guard down, he would have been caught by Biollante as she was rising from the ground. And by how things went, or how things are going, when the two began to fight, Biollante actually seemed to be giving Kudajiro a run for his money. Kudajiro actually tried everything he could to fight against her, and at the start, Biollante actually does seem to get the upper hand as she blinds him with acid. As he shot acid into his eyes and actually blinded him before throwing him across the
Wow.
forest
Just wow.
as she was underground.
Now here, it seems that Biolante is clearly having the advantage, and is clearly dominating Kurajira. However, even with all that effort, it's still not enough, because Kurajira then proceeds to fire his red laser beams out of his eyes and completely destroys Biolante. Oh, poor Biolante. However, it's not over yet, because after killing Biolante, a portal suddenly appears behind Kurajira. Kurajira then walks towards the portal and then disappears. What does it mean? And where did he go? Who knows? Perhaps all of that will be explained in the next episode. Although there is one thing that I know in the next episode. Kurajira is going to be battling Gigan. Welp, rest in peace, Gigan.
Now, as for possible inspirations for what could have led into the creation of this new Kudajira, I feel like this point is going to be a little bit harder to tackle, considering that we haven't really heard too much from the creators or the rest of Kenshin Studios about what led into the creation of this new Kudajira, but from what I can infer, one of the inspirations I could probably think of, and this is one that I actually didn't really know too much about, but it's his laser eye ability could possibly be inspired by the Hanna-Barbera version of Godzilla. Now, I'm not too sure about this, especially since before making this video, I actually did not know about this. In fact, Reader told me that this was actually one of the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla's abilities. I'm not too familiar with most of the stuff that happens for the Hanna-Barbera version of Godzilla since I haven't really watched too much of the show. I just knew that it existed, but I never really got into watching it. So I should probably do that at some point after this video if I can find it anywhere. But this is one of the few abilities that Kudajira has that could possibly be an inspiration that led into it, or led into his creation.
Another possible inspiration for one of Kurajira's attacks comes from the kaiju Tyrant in one of his EX forms, being EX Tyrant 2. Apart from the designs of both kaijus that seemingly look similar, they both have an attack that is very similar. In the first episode of Kenshin Chaos, when the new Kurajira is going to kill the old Kurajira, the new Kurajira basically becomes a smoke that then forms his head. The thing about this attack is that when the new Kurajira is about to become a smoke, the eyes on his body stop glowing and his body becomes immobile. The same thing happens to EX Tyrant 2 in one of his finishing moves in the game Ultraman fighting evolution rebirth. Yeah, I need to remember that. Sorry about that. Anyways, uh, EX Tyrant 2 as a finishing move where, if I'm not wrong, the souls of on his body basically fly out, and his eyes stop glowing, and his body then falls on the ground, indicating that it's dead. So whether it's uh, either it's an actual like inspiration or not, it is a similarity that both Kurojira and EX Tyrant have. The fact that they have the same ability that consists of them flying out of of their bodies and then using whatever they're doing to kill the opponent.
As for my thoughts on this version of Kudajira, even though I did like the original one, I would have to say that I prefer this version of the character. In fact, this one is a lot better than the original. I mean, not to discredit the original Kudajira, but the new one, at least to me, is better in every way. From design to abilities, and this one formed more of an identity for himself than the original one, in my opinion. And throughout the course of Kenshin Chaos, or at least from what 3 episodes we have as of right now, Kudajiro was phenomenal. What are your thoughts on him, Reader? What do you think of this?
This Kurojira is freaking awesome, much better than the original one. The thing that difference this Kurojira from the original is, apart from the design, the new personality that was given to him, as well as the new abilities, and the fact that he's freaking impossible to kill. This Kurojira is OP, and that's what makes him so awesome. Like, wow! It was certainly glad to see Kurojira come back to the videos, especially since it's been, I guess, a while since we last saw him in the movie. And of course, I don't think a lot of people expected him to appear again because he was just a character from a movie. But here he is. He's back in a flash, and I'm certainly happy, and I'm certainly thrilled to see him more in his own series.
Now, before we wrap things up, there is one more thing that I think I need to mention, and this is Kudajira's appearances in other media. Well, other media besides Godzilla Wrath of the Hybrid, and of course his own spin off series, Kenshin Chaos. And I can already tell that some of you might be asking, wait, what other appearances are you talking about? This is a fan made kaiju. How the heck would he be able to appear in something outside of the 2 series that he's already a part of? What, is Toho or Legendary working on something with the character? Well, no. As much as I'd like that, no, that's not what's happening. He's not being added into one of their movies. However, there is something good that he is being added into, or at least that is being worked around with him, and that is Kudajira the Ultimate Life Form, which is a fan-made story which is created by, well, my friend Godzilla Reader right here. And I believe, at least the last time I checked, it's at its 5th or 6th chapter right now. It isn't finished completely yet, but it is getting updated, or it's an ongoing story that's going to be updated, and he's already said that he plans to make this story into a trilogy, but for right now, we only have the first book to see what his ideas for the story is. And if any of you are interested, I'll leave the link in the description in this video, just in case anyone wants to check it out and read the story. Now, in conclusion, I would say Kutajira has definitely made a big impact on many kaiju and Godzilla fans everywhere. He isn't the first fan made kaiju, but he definitely is probably one of the more recognizable, or at least one of the most inspirational ones that I've seen. Especially since he also led into creating some other fan made versions of Godzilla and other kaiju creations soon after his original debut.
As someone who was inspired by the character, I think that Kurojira is by far one of the best fan-made kaijus to be ever created. Now, of course, Kurojira is not the first fan-made kaiju to be created, since before his creation, there were already some fan-made kaijus that already appeared before him in their own fan films. However, I think what made Kurojira special is the fact that he went through development. He made his first appearance in a movie with an okay design, but then later will reappear in his own little series and have a new design. And that's what I think is what makes Kurojira such a special and unique character. Is because unlike the rest of the fan-made kaijus that appeared before him, he went through a development. And like I said at the beginning, Kurojira really is a character that inspired me. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be creating characters like, for example, Demon Godzilla or even Wintera. And for that, I would like to say thank you, Kurojira, for being such an inspiration. And thank you, Kenshin Studios. I'm the Godzilla Reader, and it was a pleasure being here again. Bye bye!
And there you have it. I would like to give Godzilla Reader a special thanks. And this is Neos Gamer signing out. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys next time. See you later, true believers. Charlie, Deadpool, roll the credits.
Seriously, roll credits. We're done here.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, I was time for part 2.
Thank God, I thought I'd never lose them. I just hope they don't find their way here. That is the last time I am ever going dimension hopping again. At least I can just chill out here and won't have to worry about any more of them attacking me. Any more of those dimensional dragons.
Run! Get away from the light!
Yes! Take the siphon! Give me its power!
Welcome home, Neil. Oh, hey, Charlie. What in the world happened to you? You look different. Did something happen to you? Yeah, something did happen, but, I'd rather not talk about it. It's really complicated. Who's that knocking at the door? Hold on, I'll get it for you.
Oh my god, I love this
If it's
skit.
one of those dragons, I swear to God.
You're gonna be disappointed. I'm part dragon.
Where the heck did I keep that blaster?
I'm half dragon, okay?
Reader?
Yo, Neos, my man. It's been a long time. How are you doing, dude? Uh, I need your help.
Wait, why? What's going on? Is everything okay? What's happening, Reader?
Well, you see,
There you are, reader. So not only do you run away from me, but you also reject my request. Oh, now you're dead, boy.
Oh no. Neos, do
Oh
you
my God.
remember that
How
documentary
Kurajira's
we
fight-
did on
You
Kurajira and
better
his
not
history?
come
Yeah,
for me,
I still remember
boy.
making that video with you
You
about
will
him. Why?
come find
Is
me.
Kudajiro
But I
have a
gotta
problem with
get
you?
you
Oh
chaos
no,
right
I have
down.
nothing else to say
Hey,
about
that's
this
on me.
absolute gem
That's
of a
on me,
video.
Kuja.
Seriously, I really enjoyed that video that you guys made.
Hey,
But that's
that's
not the
on me.
reason
That's on
I'm
them.
here. How about you tell him, reader?
Well, you see, Neos, since the fourth episode of Kenshin Chaos is out, and there has been some new information regarding the future of the series, Kurajira basically wants us to do a part 2 of the documentary. And we don't really have any choice, otherwise Kurajira will most likely kill us. Starting with me, especially.
Would you excuse us for a moment? Me and Neo need to have a little chat. Neo, I do not like the sound of this at all. This is not good. Not good at all. This is a disaster. I know, Charlie, but look, we'll make it through this. How? Do you know what kind of threat we're messing with right now? Do you know what we're dealing with? I'm aware. Listen, do you know what we're dealing with right now? This is the same kind of monster who literally soloed against Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. Not to mention, he took out 2 Mechagodzillas. He also fought Destroyer, Biollante. Heck, even Gigan in an alternate version of himself he beat it. I'm telling you, there's something wrong with that monster. He is insane. He is a barbarian, a savage. I bet you he's part of that what was it called again? Black Air Force Synergy Council, is that what they're called? Yes. I'm convinced he's one of them. Okay, chill out, Charlie. Just look. We'll make it through this. We'll make it through this, I promise. Just calm down. Let's head into the studio, and then we'll make a compromise with Reader. All right, Reader. Me and Charlie will help you out with this.
Oh, goody! Let's do this then! Roll the intro!
I love that song. Oh my God, what's the name of the song?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, NeosGamer04, and today we're going to be revisiting a previous topic that we once touched upon on the channel about several months ago. And if you couldn't tell by the intro, we're going to be revisiting the history of Kudajira, Kenshin Studios Ultimate Kaiju. And you might be wondering, how come? Well, there's been some updates about not just Kudajira and the history of the Kenshin Chaos series, or at least the future of it, but also of Kenshin Studios.
And that
as
future
well.
has
However,
been
I won't be doing this
passed.
alone because my friend Godzilla Reader has actually returned for this video. Say hello.
Hello, everybody! I'm the Godzilla Reader, and it's a pleasure being back with my good friend Neos Gamer. So, like he just said, we are going to continue the history of Kurajira, especially since there has been some new stuff that has been out regarding the character, and also because if we don't do it, he's going to kill us. Yeah, let's just get this over with. So, before we begin this, we want to clarify a little mistake that we made in the first video. During the section where we were giving a small biography of Kurajira, we mentioned that the creators of Kurajira were Chris Keepers and Nico Monar. However, the picture that we used to represent Nico wasn't really in. And when it comes to Nico himself, when he saw that, well, yeah, this was basically his reaction in a nutshell. Anyways, this is Nico Mona right there, right next to Chris, the guy making that face. Don't forget it. Don't forget his face. Okay, let's just go. Let's just move on with the video.
As we begin episode 4 of Kenshin Chaos, we can see an aircraft plummeting
The
into the
Gotengo,
Arctic.
for your information.
And as the aircraft plummets to the ground, it can be seen firing its cannons right towards something behind it. And at first, you would be thinking maybe this is just an enemy aircraft that it's attacking. However, that's not the case at all. As a matter of fact, it was a monster, that being Gigan. The crew on the ship would have proceeded to fire a laser beam right towards Gigan to try to get him to stay away. However, Gigan would have overpowered them, causing the ship to crash into the ice and being buried under it. And before Gigan got the chance to celebrate his victory, suddenly a crimson portal would have started to appear right behind him, revealing a brand new opponent for him to face off against. And who would this new opponent be? Oh, it was none other than Kutajira himself. This would have led into the two monsters rushing towards each other, starting off their grand battle. And Gigan trying to overpower Kutajira by crash landing on him. However, Kutajira was having none of that and released a massive electric shockwave towards Gigan, causing him to fly across the area and crashing into ice. Kutajira proceeded to fire his electricity right towards Gigan, leading to the two monsters having a beam struggle between each other. However, Kutajira would have overpowered Gigan, using both his own lasers and his electricity to overpower Gigan's beam.
And after shooting Gigan down, Kurajira proceeds to launch himself in the sky, using his Thunder Hand, literally flying in the sky. Both him and Gigan have an air battle, which leads to them crashing down on the ground, leaving a smoke. When that smoke clears, Gigan finds himself on the ground, pinned down by the hybrid. The cyborg uses his last resort and slashes the right eye of Kurajira. Big mistake right there, since it only pisses him off and then leads to his death. And then, as it is revealed, Kurajira can indeed heal himself. After healing his right eye, the portal appears behind him and he disappears once again. God damn. This was certainly an intense battle, but in the end, the cyborg wasn't enough for the
Yeah,
hybrid.
Gigan.
Change? Yep. Big change.
Now, after watching episode 4, I noticed something that seemed to be a pretty big change to the series, and that is actually the animation. The animation quality for episode 4 is a lot better than episodes 1 through 3. Not saying that there's anything wrong with the animation of episodes 1 through 3, but episode 4's is just phenomenal. It's actually kind of crazy when comparing the animation between the two, because the animation for episode 4, when comparing it to the previous 3 episodes, and even Wrath of the Hybrid, Kutajira's first appearance, it's like night and day. It's actually kind of crazy looking at how different the animation between them are, and I actually really like it. Like the animation for episode 4 seems really
Yeah,
cinematic.
I have to
Like
agree.
the
Episode 4 has
cinematography
the
and just
best
the
animation.
animation in general for that whole episode, the way that entire episode looks,
Yeah, it's the
literally
best
looks like it
episode,
could
and
be a movie
this
or at least
has
a
the best
mini movie.
animation in any of
If there was
Kenshin Chaos.
if Kenshin Studios was ever to make another movie, like another movie focused around Kudajiro, like let's say after episode 10 of Kenshin Chaos, whenever they get around to the finale, after that, if they don't decide to do a season 2, or if they do decide to, but they make like a movie first to coincide with that, and the animation is something like episode 4, then yeah, I'd be in. I love that. Like I think the animation for this is definitely top tier. But then that also begs the question: how did we get here with the animation turning out like this? Like how did we go from episodes 1 through 3 to how the animation is for this episode?
Well, it's quite simple to know why the animation here is so different when compared to the one that has been used throughout the 3 episodes. That's because the person who animated the 4th episode was none other than Mefalo Kaiju himself, a very talented animator who has been mostly known for his Godzilla animations on YouTube. And I do have to agree with you, the animation is very, very good. It really gives off a movie vibe when looking at it, and it really fits with the tone as well, considering that it's a very intense battle between Kurajira and Gaigen. However, the animation isn't the only thing that is different here. Kurajira is also different. Now, you may not understand what I'm talking about, but what I'm basically saying is that, well, remember the chest mouth that Kurajira has? Yeah, well, it's now gone.
I. What?
Like completely gone. If you watch the episode, you can totally notice that Kurajira's chest mouth is basically no longer visible. According to Chris, Mifilo had a hard time trying to put the chest mouth on Kurajira that he basically ended up removing it. And looking at it, well, I guess when it's night, Kurajira doesn't look half bad without his chest mouth. But
No,
when you look at
no,
it
it's the
at a
next episode.
different time, like let's say broad daylight, in a different image, like this image that we are showing you right now, which is basically a future episode of Kenshin Chaos, where you see that Kurajira will basically have no chest mouth, and here when you can look at it when you can look at it at broad daylight, he looks odd without it. And I guess it has to do with the fact that we're so used with the chest mouth that we don't mind that it does nothing. But now that it's completely removed and replaced with a normal chest, it looks odd. I mean, not to sound rude, I mean it was true that the chest mouth was kind of useless, but having it removed again makes it a little bit odd. Ironic that we criticize about that. Huh? What do you think, Nails?
Honestly, to me, it feels kind of weird seeing Kudajiro without his chest mouth. And a part of me also kind of feels like us talking about in the previous video kind of jinxless. Not really, but still,
Yeah,
it kind
you
of feels
kind of
like
jinxed
after
it.
us saying that,
Shame on you for
next
jinxing
thing
the
we know,
Jets'
by
mouth.
episode
You
four's
should be ashamed
release,
of
it
yourself
gets
for that.
removed. And you know what?
I miss the Jets'
The
mouth.
fact that his design got changed or at least got tweaked in that kind of way, where Meflo Kaiju actually had a hard time trying to animate Kudajira's chest mouth, so it just got removed entirely. This actually kind of reminds me of two things, actually. The first thing it reminds me of is actually and some people might not know about this, but originally Miraculous Ladybug was originally supposed to have an anime kind of art style. Like it was originally supposed to be a 2D animated show, and was going to be outsourced to a Japanese studio, or at least a Japanese studio was going to animate it, but everything else would have been done in France and, of course, been dubbed in English like it is now by Zagtoon. However, the reason why they actually decided to change it from being a 2D animated show to a 3D animated show like it is now is actually because of Ladybug's design in the original 2D animations. In the 2D animations, it was actually a little bit harder to design her spots on her suit. At least, like, when Ladybug is animated in motion, when Ladybug is moving in some of the scenes, you can notice that the spots on her suit actually disappear and aren't entirely consistent, unlike how it is for the show when it's 3D animated, where all the spots stay on the suit. But in the 2D animated version, it's completely, some of them are removed and you can only see about a few of them while Ladybug is moving, but when she's still, you can see all the spots on the suit. And the other thing it reminds me of is a sort of a different thing, but it's not really. The other thing it reminds me of isn't exactly removing something, but more or less adding something onto it. Like, it's kind of like the saying, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But in this case, someone chose to fix it anyway. But in them trying to fix it, it broke it. And what I'm talking about for this second thing is
Yeah, what is that
actually
second
the
thing?
design changes for the 2003 Teenage Mutant
Oh
Ninja
yeah, I
Turtles.
remember that. Oh
Because the
man, I was so pissed about
2003
that.
Turtles, after the first 5 seasons of the show, the art style actually changed by season 6 and 7, which were fast forward and back to the sewers. Now, the reason, along with this, the tone actually changed. Not just the animation, but even the tone of how the show would go. Because the first 5 seasons of the show actually had a much darker tone, while seasons 6 and 7, along with the movie that would have served as the finale for the series, Turtles Forever, had a much more lighthearted tone when compared to seasons 1 through 5. And a part of the reason, there are a few reasons why the designs actually changed. The main reason for why the designs changed in season 7 is mostly because they wanted the Turtles and the rest of their cast to actually reflect the designs of the 2007 movie Turtles, which came out around the same time that Back to the Sewer would have released on CW for kids. And because of this, this is also why the Turtles also kind of look the way they do, where it's a more simplified version of their seasons 1 through 5 designs. But now they got pupils similar to the ones from the 2007 movie. And for me, in my personal opinion about the designs, I I don't really like how they look in season 7. I mean, the designs are good. The only thing I would change is just to remove the pupils. And the reason why I say this is because it's kind of like how it is with the chest mouth for Kutajira, but in a different way. Because in the case for the chest mouth with Kutajira, Kutajira has had it for so long that it's kind of weird seeing him without it, even if it's only been Wrath of the Hybrid and just 3 episodes that we've seen it. But in the case for the Turtles, they look the way they did without those pupils at first since season 1 of the 2003 show, and then the pupils just came out of nowhere by the time season 7 would have happened. And the other reason for why the designs would have changed for them having the pupils and them looking more like the 2007 designs was mostly because they wanted to make it so that the Turtles had more emotion, that they were able to express more emotions in the show. And at first, I would be okay with this if it wasn't for the fact that in the previous seasons and in Turtles Forever, the Turtles still have the pure white eyes, like with no pupils at all. And they are able to express a lot of emotion through just that. Other than that, I'm kind of fine with the Kojiro redesign. Okay, now that I'm done with that little small rant and history lesson, we can now talk about our final thoughts. And for me, my final thoughts on episode 4 of Kenshin Chaos is that I really liked the episode. Definitely a 4 out of 5 or nearly a 5 out of 5 for me. A great episode and definitely the best episode out of the 3 that we have so far. In terms of animation, it's phenomenal. and it also gives off a cinematic vibe when looking at it.
For my final thoughts regarding this episode, I think this one was one of the more better ones. Of course, due of the amazing animation that was done by Mefalo
Yeah, I
Kaiju,
agree. Metal
and of
Skyju's
course
animation is
because
probably
this
top
episode
tier.
felt a little bit more action-packed than the others. Although I do have a small little nitpick, and is that Nagan doesn't really use that much of his weapons. I mean, you have hook hands and a buzzsaw, and you don't even bother to use them. Like, come on, Gigan. Well, either way, this episode was still pretty great. Well, it seems that we have to get used to Kurajira without his chest mouth, because it looks like he's going to look this way in the future episodes. Well then, and that's all we have to say about the fourth episode of Kenshin Chaos. Now, time for the big guns. So, I guess recently enough, Kenshin Studios were quite in a dark place, to say the least, since they didn't have a lot of budget for their projects. So, what did they do? They made a Kickstarter, and their fans, including myself, all went out there to help them. And, well, you can see the results in the two videos that we're showing you right now. However, there is actually something very interesting. By going to the Kickstarter, you can actually see what they have planned for the future episodes of Kenshin Chaos. And what you're seeing right now are the future opponents of Kurajira, and that's what we're going to see right now. So, for the fifth episode of Kenshin Chaos,
Which is now the
Kurajira will be
7th
faced
episode.
against the King Ape himself, Kong. A very interesting choice, considering that King Kong is one of the most popular monsters in history.
How
alongside
we have to
Godzilla.
make mistakes because
And looking
now
at the image,
King Kong
seems
is
to be
for
the
the
King Kong from the
7th
Monsterverse
episode and
series.
Gamma's for the 6th episode.
which is a very good choice, considering that Kong in that series was a total badass. So it will be interesting to see how the fight between these two will go on. And hey, seeing that Kong has an axe now, perhaps this will be the weapon to slay Kurajira.
For the next episode, Kudajira's next opponent is none other than the almighty Ultraman, or at least one of them. Judging by the silhouette, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be the original one, although some of them, at least in terms of their silhouettes, look similar to one another. I'd say Ultraman is a good choice to face off against Kudajira, and it would be interesting to see how a fight between those two would go down. Whether or not I could see him defeating Kudajira remains to be seen, especially since this is the original one. The original one is powerful, but I don't entirely know how that might go down. But I definitely think it will be an interesting choice to see how that will go.
Next, for episode 7, we have the Guardian of the Universe, Gamera. Another interesting choice. Even though Gamera's series is somewhat dead, it's glad to see that people still use him and remember him despite being not so popular when compared to Godzilla. I'm actually very interested to see how this fight will go on. Although, will the Guardian be enough to at least make Kurajira bleed even more? Okay, that was a bit exaggerated, but seriously, who will bleed the more? Gamera or Kurajira?
Next up is the one and only king of the monsters himself, Godzilla. Judging by the silhouette, I assume the version of Godzilla this might be could be the same Godzilla from Wrath of the Hybrid. At least I think so. I think it's probably the same one, at least by how the silhouette looks. Meaning this would kind of be like a rematch for Kudajira and Godzilla, although technically Godzilla facing off against Kudajira this time, this Kudajira is a lot different from the one that he fought before. They may share some of the same abilities, but this one has already proven to be much more stronger and much more of a threat than the one that he fought back then. Especially with just we haven't even seen the full potential of this Kudajira's abilities, and Godzilla has not even met this one yet. And that begs the question: can Godzilla actually beat Kudajira again? Because he defeated him before, but this Kudajira that he's going to be fighting now is on a whole different level.
For episode 9, we have. Huh. Bagan. How interesting. It's almost like they read my mind. Okay, I'm being serious right now. Honestly, I found this kind of hilarious because I remember asking them in their very first community meeting.
Yeah, I
I
remember
asked
that
them
community.
what would happen if Kudajira and Bagan were to fight, and their answer were, "Oh well, Kudajira was just simply destroy him." But here, it seems that Kudajira is actually going to fight Bagan. Now this is going to be a very epic battle. This will certainly be a battle of gods. And who knows, maybe Bacon is actually more stronger than Kurajira.
And for our final opponent for Kudajira to face off against during the course of the Kenshin Chaos series, we have. Oh, hey, that kind of looks like Space Godzilla. Wait. Oh, hold up, guys. I'll get back to that. Just give me a minute. Someone's calling me on the phone. Hello? Uh huh. Uh huh. Wait, that isn't Space Godzilla, but that's the way it kind of looks like him. Huh? Really? Who is it then? If it isn't him, who is it? Oh! Okay. Okay. Let me make a correction then. All right. Bye. Thanks for that. Thanks for the help. Oh, okay. So it's come to my attention that this isn't Space Godzilla, even though it would be nice for Kurojiro to face off against him, since part of his design originally was inspired by him. But it is actually a different Godzilla that actually kind of looks like him, but at least silhouette wise. But it's actually Super Godzilla. And for any of you who might not know who Super Godzilla is, heck, I ain't even know too much about him before then until I looked him up. Super Godzilla is another version of Godzilla from a video game of the same name, which is also the same game that Bagon had originally first appeared in. That's the game that he made his first appearance in, and he was the main antagonist of that game and the final boss. Godzilla would face off against him and would have transformed into Super Godzilla in the game. Now, considering how his battle against Bagan would have gone in the game, it does make me curious of how a fight between the two would go during Kenshin Chaos when it comes to Super Godzilla against Kudajira. It would be awesome to see how that fight goes. I do hope we do get to see Space Godzilla fight against him eventually, though. But Super Godzilla is still good. He'll still be a good one. Now, as for my final thoughts, I would say this is definitely a pretty good lineup for rivals for Kudajira to face off against during the series. I don't entirely know how I could see this going for Gamera. A part of me is rooting for Gamera to win, but another part of me is saying, but as for what I think about for who could actually win, or at least who might have a fair chance against Kudajira, that remains to be seen. Kong, I'm not entirely sure, considering how things went for him in Godzilla versus Kong. Ultraman, I could see him probably having a good chance, but I'm not entirely sure he would win that fight. Bagon, well, of course, Bagon's is a god, so there's a good chance. And Kudajira is practically a god. In fact, he's literally been referred to as the god of destruction, so it's kind of a 50-50 chance for how I see it between them here. Super Godzilla, for me, it's kind of the same thing on that part. As for Gamera, that poor turtle's gonna get his butt kicked. I'm sorry, Gamera.
As for my final thoughts, well, do I need to say it? This is honestly very exciting, and I'm very thrilled to know how this will go down. As for my thoughts about if whether the characters will be enough to beat Kurajira, well, let's see. Kong, uh, despite being very strong, I don't think he'll be able to win, especially with that axe. Ultraman, possibly, but maybe not entirely. Gamera, ooh, I'm gonna get a lot of hate, but I don't think Gamera will win. Why? Well, seeing that this is the Ace Gamera, and after rewatching the Ace trilogy, Gamera has the worst durability.
Say what now?
He has the worst durability like ever. This guy gets taken down by missiles and can even get hurt by his own attacks. Like, I think it was in the third movie where he blew his own hand with his fireball. So honestly, I don't know how he can survive a battle against Kurajira. Godzilla? It's a bit debatable. I mean, it's unknown whether this Godzilla is the one from the Kenshin trilogy, but if that's the case, or maybe it's just like normal Ace Godzilla, debatable, but I don't think he will have a chance. Began? Ooh, no, like I said, this is going to be turned into a battle of gods. So honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe, but don't know. Super Godzilla. Ooh, another hard one. I mean, maybe? I mean, if a Super Godzilla was able to defeat the old Kurajira, then I don't see how this one won't be able to defeat the new Kurajira. Now, before we wrap this out, we have just one more thing to talk about, and that is the possibilities of a season 2 for Kenshin Chaos. Have stating that they weren't really planning to do that for the moment. Well, like they weren't really focused on doing a season 2 since right now their priority is to finish season 1, which is understandable. They however they did talk about the thought of making a season 2, and of course I'm not saying that they should, nor am I forcing them, but just imagine if after finishing season 1 they actually went with the season 2. Honestly, there's a lot of possibilities with opponents for Kurajira to face off. Hey Neos, is there any particular kaiju or monster that you want Kurajira to face off?
Well, there are a few that I think I would like to see. I would actually like to see King Ghidorah show up eventually if there is going to be a season 2 of Kenshin Chaos. Not and maybe even Mothra too. I would like to see how that would go if either Ghidorah or Mothra would be facing off against Kudajira. And a part of me also wants to say that I would like to see Anguirus appear, but at the same time, I'm not going to say that. And the main reason why is because I feel like that there is no way that Anguirus is going to beat Kudajira. It would be nice to see him try, but and then these last few is a bit of cheating, but I would say maybe way big from Ben 10. Even though Ben Tennyson is a human, but I'm strictly just talking about way big. And then maybe something like either Omnimon or Galacmon from Digimon. Even though technically these two are fusions of other monsters, but again, I think it would be nice to see someone like them. And maybe Slifer the Sky Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! But I doubt we'll see that. And the last one would be Shin Godzilla. I have been like for a little while I've actually been wondering how that would go down. Like if Shin Godzilla was ever to face off against Kudajira. And you already heard me say that I would want to see Space Godzilla. Especially since Space Godzilla was one of the monsters that led to the creation of Kudajira. Only natural that we see a battle between them. I mean, we already saw Kudajira face off against Godzilla, and he's about to again. Why not Space Godzilla eventually?
Nice choices indeed. And as for me, well, that's a hard one. In terms of the Godzilla franchise, honestly, I think Space Godzilla and Monster X alongside Kaiser Ghidorah is enough. And I guess from the Ultraman and Gamera series, well, for Gamera, it would be interesting to see Kurajira face off against the Mother Legion and Iris. And Ultraman, oof, well, there's a lot of kaiju in Ultraman, so it's hard to pick. And besides, I don't think all of the kaiju's of the Ultraman series have a model to animate. But so far, right now, if I were going to choose one, I'll go with Gomora. However, there is one thing that they did mention that is very exciting. If they were to make a possible season 2, they would have Kurajira face against people's original kaiju. And I know exactly who I will use to face off against Kurajira. Now, will it be possible? Most likely not. But who knows? Maybe it will. Again, I'm not forcing.
And I believe that should be all regarding Kenshin Studios and Kudajira, at least for now.
Yep. Oh, and look at that. It seems that Kurajira has left us alone. Our souls are spared. Probably not my soul. Well, I'm the Godzilla reader, and it was a pleasure being here. Bye bye!
Careful there, reader. We don't want you to get turned to dust or get turned into a kaiju barbecue.
Yeah, I know! That's why I'm running for my life! Oh, and also, I'll keep you in track when I'm writing the next chapter of Ruby Resurgence!
Yeah, so, that happened. Okay, I'm not sure how to end this, but, this is Neos Gamer signing off, and right now I need to go save Reader before he gets burned by a giant hybrid of multiple kaijus. See you guys later!
「ただものの屍気づいたんだ自分の中育つのは悪魔の子正義の裏犠牲の中心には悪魔よ
That sounds some Demon Slayer.
Hey, it's us again. Okay, so a lot of you guys must be confused by why are we still talking when it's the end of the video. Well, let's just say that something just came out. It's an update. And you must be wondering what this update is about. Well, we're just going to show you the image. Yep, this is the update. I honestly did not see this one coming. And looking at the image, you can see what it is about. It's the next episode of Kenshin Chaos, where Kurajira will be facing against Ultraman. Now, you must be wondering, wait, what? Kurajira is facing against Ultraman in episode 5 and not episode 6? What happened to Kong? Well, let's just say that Chris left a little message. Basically, talking about why that's the case. Here's the message. If you want, you can pause the video and read that entirely. And on top of that, the episode will come out Saturday. Well, that depends if the video is posted days after Saturday, so it's already out there.
And then the episode came out Saturday. So this episode is now late. This is future Neos talking. Alright.
Honestly, once again, I did not see this one coming. And quite frankly, I am very excited to see this battle. What about you, Neos?
Honestly, same. I didn't expect for Kudajiro versus Ultraman to happen so early, especially as episode 5. But I'm definitely excited for it, I'll tell you that.
So that means that you guys are going to make a part 3, right?
Now, wait just a second. We didn't say anything about there being a part 3, did we?
No, Kurajira, we're not going to make a part 3. Even if this video comes out after the release of the episode, we are not going to make a part 3.
Oh, so you both want to die then? Alright then, I'm gonna make sure to turn you both into dust.
Oh, no, Kurajira, please don't do it! Neos, run!
And they died, never to be seen again.
That you ended up going into another dimension and escaped a swarm of dimensional dragons?
Yep. That sums up that terrible idea.
Certainly got lucky there. Otherwise, you would have been turned into a lunch.
Yeah, well, it seems like they won't be able to get into our dimension. Not anytime soon.
Here's a
at
recent
least.
one. We're finding out the
I
recent
hope
one.
they won't be
You
able to.
hope?
Last and recent
Well,
one.
I'm hoping that doesn't end up happening. Actually, are your characters even here?
Sadly, no. All of my characters are on vacation.
Yep,
right
listen
now,
to them all on
so
vacation at the same time. The most
you're
dangerous
probably
time right now.
for a while.
Oh. Well, that sucks. My characters are also on vacation.
Yeah, let's just say we're on vacation. It's by being chased by dragons.
Wait, really? Even the Dark Beast? The monster that's bent on destruction and destroying every single thing in its path decided to go on a vacation?
Yep,
That is really odd.
right. Well, either way, I don't think we need to.
Feast on my brethren.
Worry.
Oh no, you gotta be kidding me. They found a way in! Quick, we need to get out of here now!
Oh, that would be a great idea if it wasn't for the fact that we're literally surrounded.
These two look very appetizing. I wonder what their souls taste like.
Oh dear.
It was nice knowing you, dude.
It was nice knowing you too, buddy.
Now, my brethren, it's time. Strike them down! What?
Kudajiro.
Oh, thank God! You came in the right time. Please help us before we end up dead. If you need us to make another video about you, we'll gladly do it.
Wait. What? I don't remember agreeing to this.
Just please save us.
Well, we have something in mind. But it's not the third part.
Huh?
Just a second. Attack him now!
Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting. Oh, hi, guy again. Hi, guy again. Hi, Q. Ugh.
seems the shipment is down.
We are so screwed, man. We are so screwed.
Where did that come from? Evil Godzilla? But that must mean... Spyro?
Hey, Reader.
Who's he?
Well, that's Spyro. He's a friend that I know in the Kenshin community. Pretty cool guy.
Okay, but what about that creepy Godzilla that's right behind him? The one that looks like he probably wants to burn us both.
Oh, that's his character. Evil Godzilla. He's...
Oh, this certainly looks like fun.
kinda messed up in the head.
Well, sort of, to say the least.
Oh, well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Want to take care of these pests and spill some blood? I don't see why not. Oh, and also
Apparently, the good old buddies, Kujo and Evil Godzilla.
weakness.
Oh. It seems that he wants us to do a video explaining what this series is and what it will consist of, as well as explain how we got the idea of doing this in the first place.
That's it?
Seems to be the case.
If that's all he wanted us to do, then he could have just asked us. But again, not like we would have had much of a choice anyway, because he probably would have tried to attack us again, especially after blowing us up last time.
Oh, hey, Spyro. Wanna join us?
Sure, doesn't seem like a bad idea.
Alrighty then. In that case, let's get this thing started.
So, oh, that's what you think. Alright, bro.
Wrote this shit 2 days off chemo. Lap got fat, new bread, no keto. Bitch, I was made for the game like Demo. Ben had lines from the jump like a free throw. You can say I came wrapped up like a pre-roll. Green in my hands like Shigo. Finito, Doom, you can meet yo. Stirred like the Migos. Slide like I'm playing on an iced up court. Yeah, shouts tied wild to keep the pipes up north. I don't take L's, keep it light 1-4. Put the numbers on my head, get your life cut short. Another life it could be serving up a lot of the syrup. Really offer the procurement of the product.
Okay, so I'm guessing some of you must be wondering about what exactly is going on right now, and have also been curious about two videos that have been made over the past few months, or I should say about the past year, considering that is when all of this started. This is a series that's focusing on one character in particular, where this series involves me and a friend of mine, Godzilla Reader, talking about a character that was created by Kenshin Studios for a series known as Kenshin Chaos. And now we also have another newcomer here, that being Spyro, joining us for a new series on the channel focusing on the history of Kutajira, known as Kenshin Chaos Breakdown. Basically, this series is pretty much kind of like a similar to the Kaiju Profiles series that Wikizilla does on his own channel. Instead, this is specifically going to be focused on a fan-made monster that belongs to Kenshin Studios, that of course being Kutajira. This will be focusing on the character's history, which starts with the movie Wrath of the Hybrid all the way to where it currently is now with the current series that they are doing on their channel known as Kenshin Chaos. Now, before we go into the details of what exactly we'll be doing in this series, some of you,
Yeah,
and possibly
not me.
even people from either Kenshin Studios or the Kenshin Studios community themselves who might be watching this, might also be wondering how exactly did this all start. Well, I think I'll let you guys hear it from the guy who came up with this idea for the series in the first place. That would be none other than Godzilla Reader himself.
Hello, everybody. I'm the Godzilla Reader, and just like Eos Gamer said, I will explain how I basically ended up having this idea in the first place. So, I would say around 2021, in one of Kenshin Studios' older community meetings, a fan basically asked them
And the fan
how
was
cool it would
me.
be if
Okay,
Kojira
the fan,
had a
that
kaiju
person,
profile
that
made
person
by
was
the
me.
Zillion.
I will go down history. I will
Basically
find that
stunned.
video
And
saying that
also when it
fan
comes of
was me. Saying,
researching
what if
Kojira,
Kujiro had a kaiju profile? That
there
fan
really
was
hasn't been a
me.
lot of
God damn it!
videos
You should have mentioned that.
basically
You should
talking about
have
the
mentioned
history
that.
of this character.
Shame on you for not mentioning that.
I
That
think
was
it's a
me
bit
who
of a
mentioned
shame,
that.
honestly,
That Kujiro should have had a kaiju
because
profile.
unlike
That
most
was me.
fan-made
I was that fan.
kaijus, Kojira is a particular one
That was
because
me
he
who
has
mentioned
went through
that.
development
If Kujiro had a
and
kaiju
also
profile, that
observed.
was me. Okay?
So in the
Okay?
end, I basically
It was not no
wanted
fan.
to
It
do a
was
kaiju
me, the
profile
one
of
and
this.
only Anno Goji.
So I went to Neos and asked him if with the documentary basically explaining the history of Kojira.
So,
And well, he
technically,
agreed.
if
And well,
I
you
wasn't
can
around,
see how
there
this
would
goes.
be no
In
Kenshin
a way,
breakdown.
the way
There would be no
we
Kenshin
went
Chaos
through,
breakdown
it's
because
kind of
I
like
asked if there was
how
gonna
the
be.
Godzilla Kenshin trilogy was
I don't
created
know.
in the
I'm
first
just
place.
maybe not go that far.
Now, the thing that was great about working with Neos on this series is that between the two of us, Neos has the better editing skills. If you watch his videos, and even his older ones, you can see that Neos is very skilled with editing. So it was basically to team up in order to make the video. So that's basically how this series ended up being created. Now, before
Yes,
we move on to
and
the topics
I
of the
was
series,
also the fan
I would like
who
to introduce someone
asks.
who will be joining us in our journey in the Kenshin Chaos Breakdown. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Spyro.
And soon to be
Hello,
me.
I'm Spargy. I'm a huge Toku and Kaiju fan. So, how did I find Kenshin? Well, I was a follower of Chris back during the Goju Fan 1993 days and loved his videos. And when he and his friends created Kenshin Studios, I was super excited. I loved their fan film trilogy, especially Wrath of the Hybrid, which I saw the premiere of at G-Fest in 2018. I even bought their merch they were selling at the G-Fest 2019. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of theirs, and I love Kudajira. I think he's pretty cool. I love villain characters, especially overpowered kaiju ones, as they are a lot of fun.
Okay, I think that's good enough for the introductions. Now we need to go over what topics we'll be discussing for this series. And to start up, we'll be talking about the history. Hey, Spyro? Are you okay over there? What's going on, man?
Oh no, I can't control it.
Can't control what, man? What in the heck?
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get used to this new body.
No, it's okay, man. Just, please, try to control yourself next time. Oh, and also, do you think you could help me back over to the studio? I think the explosion broke my back.
A few moments later.
Okay. All right. Now, as I was saying before that interruption, whew, the next topic we'll be going over is analyzing the history of both Kudajira along with his series Kenshin Chaos, which is also where this series kind of started out with. Where it started out with basically where the idea for Kudajira came from, the designs, which in the first video you could also see some of it while we're talking about his design. There's also like a few sketches that can be found there, like a few images that can be found within it that actually shows some of the designs of Kudajira, like both a few drawings of him and then a few 3D models along with both obviously the original Wrath of the Hybrid Kudajira design, and then of course the one that he has now that he had got in Kenshin Chaos. And as the history of the series is right now, it might not be too hard to tackle. I mean, so far we've covered what, 4 episodes? Episode 5 is out, but at the moment we need to wait because in the case for the first video we covered the 3 episodes, and for the second we only covered episode 4 since that was the video that was out at the time. The only reason episode 5 wasn't exactly covered in that one is mainly because the video was being worked on at that time. So in the case for episode 5, that will be covered later on, but I think I'd rather, or well, we would rather wait till there's a few more episodes. So I'd say probably around episode, I don't know, I guess after 7 and 8 are out is when those would be covered for another. But in the case of things right now, it's mostly going to be following the history of the series. That, and of course, us covering the events of each episode. And I'd say Wrath of the Hybrid, but Wrath of the Hybrid already got covered in the first video, along with the first 3 episodes of the series, so yeah.
The next topic is basically trying to figure out the timeline of Kenshin Chaos. Here we will try our best to come out with the, well, not official, but somewhat of a possible timeline that makes any sense. This could be proven to be a lot more challenging, to say the least. When it comes of timeline and continuity with the Godzilla Kenshin trilogy,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to come
kind of
with.
a mess.
It really is a mess.
Especially since there's a lot, and I do mean a lot of plot holes. And when Kenshin Chaos, it may look easy, but seeing how this series is probably connected to the Godzilla Kenshin trilogy, we may need to do a lot of thinking to come up with conclusions. Seeing how the Kenshin Chaos Kurajira basically goes through different universes, I think we may find a way to explain this. And also, with what he was doing, perhaps this will lead to some consequences. Once again, this timeline that we are attempting to make is not official. Whether the people around Kenshin Studios actually make an official timeline, the one that we're doing is not canon.
For the next topic that we will be going through is finding which opponent is strong enough to defeat Kudajira.
And that's
Now,
the part
instead of just
I'll
using
be
Godzilla
drawing.
monsters, we will go through the entire media and look for the most universally powerful monsters. And when we mean universally powerful, we're talking about monsters that could destroy the world and the universe. After all, giant monsters are particularly everywhere in fiction. To wrap things up, I think the Kenshin Chaos breakdown has been going strong, and I think it should definitely continue on as Kenshin Chaos progresses.
As for thoughts regarding this series, well, if I have to say it, this is by far the most amazing, the most interesting, and the most fun projects that I ever get to do, especially with Neos, who has been a very good friend of mine ever since my journey on Wattpad. The fact that we're doing a legitimate kaiju profile, well, to say the least, on an amazing character is just great. And honestly, we're glad that we have the 2 videos out there, and we're glad that the people around Kenshin Studios are liking this. And honestly, I'm very excited to continue this series until we reach the finale. So right now we're trying to see what we could do next, especially since we're waiting for more episodes of Kenshin Chaos to come out, and also because Spyro just agreed. So right now we're just trying to see what topic we could do next, and also I guess to say the least, which topic would be easier to go through. Since of course, apart from this, we all have our personal lives, and also because we all have projects that we want to finish. And of course, we do need to take breaks because it's not something that we do every single day. So yeah, right now we're just trying to see what we could do as well as that. Honestly, I am very glad that I'm still following Kenshin Studios because back then, around 2018 and maybe 2019, after they finished the Godzilla Kenshin trilogy, I never really paid attention to the Kenshin Studios channel, which now I feel very ashamed of myself for not giving it a look, especially since during that time, Chris Keepers basically deleted his Goji Fan 93 channel because of some personal life issues, which now I am glad that he's doing very well. Although, when I saw that, honestly, it was very sad seeing the channel disappear like that. Like, all of those, like, fun videos, until Chris Keepers basically appeared on a video of Brandon Tenold, where he basically advertised the Kenshin Studios channel. And at first, I was very, and I do mean very, hesitant in going to the channel. But after giving it a look, and then seeing that Kurajira will have a new design, basically gave me the desire to follow them. And honestly, I am glad that I am still following them because they make amazing content. Oh, and also because another thing, Kurajira is the biggest inspiration, like my biggest inspiration when it comes of like making original kaiju. So for that, I would like to say thank you, Kurajira, thank you, Chris and Nico, and thank you, Kenshin Studios.
For my honest thoughts, I would say that this is honestly turning out to be an awesome series that me and Reader came up with.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't think this
And I
series
can't
would
wait to
have ever
join
happened
on whichever video you got
unless
planned for me. I
both
don't know which
Reader
one.
had told me about it and also by finding out about this series even existing. The Kenshin Chaos, I mean.
Probably have to read the script
Because
a couple times to figure out
if
which one I'm
memory
on.
serves me correct, I believe Reader was actually the one who introduced me to Kenshin Chaos. He's the one who introduced me to both the series and the character of Kudajira himself. Especially when he approached me about the idea of possibly making an entire series that's essentially there to be a sort of like a kaiju profile for Kudajira, which this series had started out as being pretty much just that, a kaiju profile series for Kudajira. Except it seems like it's turning into more of that.
Yeah,
More
it
than just that.
is. It really is.
If I had to say, it kind of almost feels like how Kuro the Artist's Ben 10 breakdowns are, where he's not only just covering the episodes of that show, but at the same time, he's also doing other stuff related to the series, like covering both the timeline and all the retcons revolving around that. And I see this is pretty much what this series is almost like. So I would honestly have to say thank you, Reader. I would honestly have to say thanks to him for showing me the series, because without that, I don't think Kenshin Chaos Breakdown would have ever happened without Reader or without him introducing me to Kudajira and also Kenshin Chaos, along with really everything that Kenshin Studios has been doing since then. This is Neos Gamers signing out, and I would like to say stay tuned, true believers, and see you next time on the next Kenshin Chaos Breakdown.
Destroying my pitch.
Showing up on the first page of Google might not be the best for everyone. Business owners, it is.
Anyway, that was Kenshin Chaos Breakdown, and holy shit, that was long. That was even longer than the Kenshin trilogy. That was really long. Sorry if it was quiet. But it was just taking in the information for most of the video. Not that much commentary. It probably won't be like that for me when I join the Kenshin Breakdown. I'm not sure which one I'm joining. I probably have to ask Vito again. But this is Anagoji signing off, and I'll see you in the Kenshin Breakdown whenever Kenshin Chaos Breakdown, whenever that happens, or whenever Neo's responds because of Vito. I'm not sure when that's happening. I don't know. But I'll definitely read the script. I can tell you that. I'll read it over and over again, and there will probably be a lot of outtakes. Yep. Lots of outtakes. Anyway, this is Anagoji sign off. Remember, stay big, Kenshin fans.